I just asked Devon about this. Cale, he gets the empty netter last night, but when you go through the numbers for most of the games this series, he's done a lot of good things, but he just hasn't been able to break through. I guess, how would you assess what he's done in this series, even though he hasn't maybe scored the way you've come accustomed to?
Yeah, I think he's had some really strong games and some average games, I'd say, for his standard. But the one thing he's consistently doing is he's still creating. He's still getting into the slot. He's still creating great looks and great chances. Like I said last night, I think Ottinger's had his number a little bit. He's missed the mark on a few of his shots, but he's still getting into those areas, and I'm confident he'll come up with a big one for us when we need it.
Pete DeBoer said that Game 7 doesn't really come down to anything that himself or yourself can do differently. It's about the players going out and executing. Do you share in that idea?
Well, I think the further along you go in a series, it's about that. Because, you can make, they're going to stick to their plan as to what they feel makes them successful. We're going to stick to ours, and then you're making you're recognizing things in games that may be available to you. You're recognizing things that they're doing that you're going to have to be sharp on to defend. But you're playing a team for the 7th time in less than 2 weeks. You're a lot of the time you're just reiterating things that you've already talked about, things that you have to be better at, in every aspect of the game, and it still comes down to that compete level, the passion you play with, the speed you're playing with, winning races, battles, and then executing under all circumstances, whether it's on the offensive side or defensive side. So I think the focus on playing the best game that you know how to play, and doing your job to the best of your ability, and making your teammates' job as easy as it can possibly be with support and talk and your effort.
Talking about that focus and preparation, is there a difference between how you personally and the team get more mentally prepared from Game 1 to obviously a big Game 7?
I'm going to say no on that. And there's not a lot of difference from the way we prepare our team for every game of the season either. You're trying to, when you open the Game 1 of your season, you're trying to prepare your team the best way you know how to win that hockey game. And you find a rhythm with it, you find out what your team likes, and you're trying to give them all the pertinent information, and you're trying to motivate them in whatever circumstances you're in, a tough stretch, a good stretch, and you're trying to make that as consistent as you possibly can through the course of the year. So when you get to playoffs, it's just like business as usual. Let's just keep doing what we're doing, and that's why you're developing all those habits and getting dialed in on the structure of your play so your team feels confident in the way you play. Certainly, it's ramped up in playoffs, and for us, we were fortunate to have a week to prepare. Otherwise, you're just kind of cramming, and some of the information can get lost, and then you have to keep going over it. But our schedule going into this gave us time to get ready, and there hasn't been a lot of surprises. It's just two teams going at it as hard as they can, and here we are at Game 7.
Arturi Lehkonen has, it's almost like a comically higher number of high danger chances according to the public data than anyone else in the playoffs so far. One of the things, you've mentioned this a bunch of times about trying to get to the middle of the ice and get to the high danger areas against this team. How important is Arturi's just sort of being in Ottinger's neighborhood as much as he's been?
Yeah, sometimes we're talking to guys about getting to the interior of the ice, so you got to get there more, you got to be there more with and without the puck, and if you watch Lucky's game, he never leaves that area, okay? So, that's the truth, and so, it doesn't surprise me that he's coming up with those chances, and we've said it all along, he just went through that stretch, but all of a sudden, then he comes up with the big goal again last night. I'm confident if I'm confident in anything, I'm confident that he's going to be in that area, and some nights you come up with pucks and you put him in, and other nights you don't, but you got to continually do the right things, and he's always been a player that does that on both sides of the puck.
Teams are almost 100 combined shots the last 2 home games. What are the keys to kind of recreating that in there?
The speed of our game, using our skating to our advantage.
look at the puck possession numbers, especially 5v5, and it's highly favored Colorado in this series, but you nearly double them in hits every game. Can you talk to me about how the checking game and that physicality has become necessary in this series?
Yeah, I think the better you are at that part of it, the more it favors your team. And I'm not just talking number of hits. I'm just talking about playing with the intensity and the physicality and the passion that you need to win this time of year. And I think a lot of that, you know, for our team, like sort of the emotional line that's kind of led us all playoffs is the jury line. Like they are involved, heavily involved as a group of 3 or 5, and you know they are hard to play against, and they're going to run into you, and they're going to be physical with and without the puck, and you know I think some of those numbers like are probably up this year compared to other years because of that line.
You guys do about Mikko Rantanen a lot the past couple weeks. Probably going to see him again in the playoffs again in the near future. Like when does he go from being Mikko to you to Rantanen? Like, you know what I mean? Like when does he number 9?
Well, every time the pads go on, that's it. Every other time he's going to be Mikko to me. You're never going to hear me say a bad word about Mikko Rantanen. I mean, you look what he did for us for the length of time I was here, and he was part of the 2022 championship team. You're just never going to hear me say anything bad about him. Look at the night he has last night. Biggest stage elimination game, comes out and gets 4 points in one period and almost puts us away, and we were able to bounce back. But that's the way I view Mikko.
Does it feel like Brock has kind of put it all together these last 3 games? And I guess how much does the captain being next to him help kind of that whole that?
I think it helps for sure, because I think Brock needs a player like that. Like there's a heaviness to Landy's game. There's a predictability to his game. Like he just plays in the structure the right way. Has enough skill to play with Brock. I think they complement each other well. But I also think that like Brock wants to win, and he's like really ramped up his game here throughout the course of this series.
More guys.
I probably know the answer to this, but there's a lot of narratives going around, you know, before this Game 7, you versus Pete, his record in Game 7s, you know, this core's record in Game 7s. Do you guys think about any of that, use it as motivation, or just, like you've told us, if any of that stuff is in your brain that's not really...
Yeah, I don't. I mean, and you know me, like I think like every scenario is different, you know, it's different teams. Hey, listen, I don't need added motivation to want to beat Dallas. I don't like to lose. And like, so I'm like, I just look back at, I mean, they beat us once in the, you know, like it's every year is different, you know, like I don't think our team, it's not about, you know, what they've done in Game 7, what we haven't done as an organization, me, myself as a coach, the players in there. It's about trying to advance and move on and get to where we want to go. And I mean, there's really no need to add motivation to it in the playoffs.
Go ahead. This being Mackenzie Blackwood's first playoffs and this big Game 7, how do you kind of help him, I guess, you know, get ready for this, or just mentally prepare for this big of a game?
Yeah, I know Mackenzie's work ethic, his competitiveness. I know that he wants to win as bad as anybody, and I'll just try and relay some confidence to him. Our team has a ton of confidence in front of him and in his ability, and no different than any other player. Like, I don't care what you've done to this point in the series. You know, some guys could have been better. Some guys are playing great. Some guys are snake bit. Some guys are scoring on the chances they get. It's going to roll down to, you know, what you do tomorrow night, you know, and we need a big game out of every single person in that locker room to win.
Gabe's a Masterton finalist. Just, I know we've talked a lot about his journey, but just any thoughts on him being...
I doubt there's Like I think he's going to be the winner, not just a finalist. I mean, if there's no doubt. Like we've talked a lot about his situation, so I'm not going to reiterate it all. But I mean, show me a player that's gone through what he's gone through over the last 3 years and then got to this point, and then be able to come back and be an impact player immediately. Like, it's pretty impressive.